Hello transport nerds and fellow planners, and welcome back to Talking Planning. I was fortunate to spend a few weeks in Brisbane over Christmas and New Year, which was a lovely break after a huge 2022. And of course, with some time off, I got to enjoy seeing what's changed around Brisbane and across the region. I briefly talked about this in my first State of the Plan video last week, but for my first 2023 review, let's kick off with something from southeast Queensland. For Brisbane public transport users, there are a couple of things that are pretty much a given around Christmas: festive buses and CBD rail replacement. During my travels, I only briefly caught one Christmas bus, but I did get to enjoy a solid dose of rail replacement, and on that front, lots has changed since the 2021-2022 Christmas New Year break. Brisbane rail replacement has gone low floor. Last trip to Brisbane back in 2021-22, most of the rail buses I caught were still high floors and usually coaches. Denning Phoenixes, King Longs, BCIs and Bonlark coaches with Thompsons, Kangaroo, Logan coaches and Brisbane bus lines, who were all the staples of rail replacement. So, without further ado, let's check out one of the new staples of Brisbane rail replacement, the Mercedes O405NH, with a Volgren CR221L body at Thompsons. My first encounter with these rail buses occurred even before catching one, as I spotted a convoy of PTV liveried Volgrens making their way up the Newell Highway when driving back to Parkes at the start of 2022. As I was doing 110 up the Newell, I couldn't grab a snap, but it was interesting to see them well before I had any idea they were about to be the backbone of Brisbane's rail replacement fleet. Just under a year later, I was able to jump on board for myself, and the fleet has grown beyond the first convoy to 20 buses. A sole Volvo B10 BLE also made its way up north, but that's a topic for another time. These buses put up with around 2 decades of Melbourne route service at Ventura, and some also spent time with the Grender Group before that, meaning they're well-proven vehicles. Looking around the interior, we can see that there was a fondness for grey and rainbow seat fabrics at Ventura/Grenders in the 90s. Not a choice I would make, but it was popular at the time for whatever reason. Most of these buses I caught fared quite decently, although there is some graffiti here and there, but nothing inconsistent with a 20-plus-year-old city bus. Having caught hundreds of Volgrens over the years in Brisbane, Sydney, Canberra, Melbourne and a bunch of regional cities, these have some touches I haven't spotted for a while. For starters, there are pull cord bells fitted here, a neat touch and ideal for standing passengers. Not that this is that much of a consideration for rail replacement, but if these are ever deployed in route service and suddenly a Thompson's bus has a full standing load, and these are ever used in passenger service, they're ready for you. The stop bells also face the aisle when sitting up the back. Let's talk specs. As Mercedes O405NHs, these have a distinct sound produced by the 250 horsepower Mercedes diesel and presumably a 5-speed ZF automatic. Have a quick listen now. As there is a large fleet of these, I caught quite a few different vehicles during my travels, and although these may now be a staple of Brisbane rail replacement, they were far from the only option out and about. Logan Coaches, CDC, and Original Tours were all operators I spotted out and about over Christmas, presumably among some others. Thompson's also had a few different types of low floors out and about, including a rather unique articulated bus option. Overall, moving to a wheelchair-accessible rail replacement network is a great decision. Boarding and alighting is typically faster and easier. The interior layout is more familiar to most customers, and of course, for those that do utilise mobility aids such as wheelie walkers, scooters, and wheelchairs, or have bulky objects such as shopping carts or prams, or those with other mobility impairments, it's a much more straightforward travel experience. On the downside, low floors lack underfloor storage, and that means that things like bicycles and bulky goods are often not permitted on rail replacement services, and suitcases are carried in the interior rather than under the floor. This could make airport rail replacement a little more complex, although Thompson's might just have a solution to that as well. Having travelled plenty of the network and spent a fair bit of time on board these O405NHs, it was a nice chance over Christmas to enjoy some classic Mercs. Although some of the variety that rail replacement once held has disappeared. At least it's all for a good cause. So, thank you for joining me, and I will see you again soon.